Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Just let it rest.
Feels right.
Yeah. It sure does.
It just gets you in the mood to talk about Satan.
Yes, it does. His name is Satan.
I hope you brought your tea and your coffee. And...
If you're completely out of the know on this, this is the opening theme song to Wings.
Yeah.
Let's cut it.
We felt like it was appropriate.
This is freaking Lucifer.
Oh, it's amazing.
Guys,
Because there's wings in this episode.
Thank you for joining us here at AfterBuzz TV for the Lucifer After Show. Today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 7, entitled Wingman, because this show is all about the puns. If you haven't already, go to youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV and hit that subscribe. And if you want to, on iTunes, search AfterBuzz Lucifer, leave us a comment, 5-star rating, and we will give you a shout out on the show. Today, we have a very special surprise for you that I'm not going to talk about right now. Joining me today is my co-host, as usual, Dave Child.
Hi.
You can find him on Twitter at Mr. Dave Child. Samantha Benitz on the couch.
Hello, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Samantha_Benitz.
Lacretia Lyon.
Of course, if you can spell it right, it's Lacretialyon, and there's only one, so you'll find it anywhere.
And of course, I'm your host today, Stephen Lemieux. You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, STPHENLEMIUX. I'm on Twitter right here, and I got the live chat pulled up. If you have any questions for our special guest today, shoot them in the live chat, but if you tweet them at me, I'm more likely to read them because it's easier to sort through. Guys, we do have a special guest today. The first of many, I believe, and we kind of went balls out on our first guest here, I have to say. You may have seen him, or not seen him, or heard of him from such shows as the fucking showrunner of Lucifer. Joining us is Joe Henderson.
Woo woo!
Thank you for joining us in studio.
Thank you. Yes. Please, studio audience.
Calm down.
They shut up rather quickly.
Yeah, that was impressive.
We influenced them. It's a deep desire to listen to us.
Right.
Joe, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So Joe has been at AfterBuzz before, so you kind of know the dealio.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
We're gonna rip it apart. We're gonna tear it to shreds. Talk about all the things we hate of it.
Let's do it.
And then just send you away crying.
Break my soul, and then just put the pieces back together, and I'll just slough my way out of here.
Until you're banging your head into a glass wall and it bleeds. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
like last time.
Like last time, yeah. So today we're talking about Wingman, which tackles, we're getting the character comparisons between Chloe and Dan and the whole case that she dealt with, and now we have Lucifer and his wings. So those are the two comparisons that the characters are dealing with. Overall thoughts before we really jump into things. Dave, what did you think of tonight's episode?
I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, let me speak first. Oh, you might have thought it was good. I also thought it was good, actually. I really like this. I love when the show becomes more supernatural. So I'm loving the more interactions with angels. I'm loving the everything that happened here with the wings and looking for the wings and the connection. It was good. I like this one a lot.
So you're not just saying that because Joe's here, right?
No, I'm not actually. This one and last week's, when I missed last week, these were the ones I was like, oh guys, it's gonna get good. We're heading towards wings here. We're gonna have like more interactions with angels, more dealing with supernatural things, more of Lucifer kind of being more Satan-y. And that's what I was hoping for, and that's what I'm seeing more of.
Piss off million moms.
1 million
every
moms.
episode.
Any
from
chance
now
we
on.
get.
Yes, please.
Any chance we
please.
can. Lucretia.
I really loved it because I like Amenadiel and Maze, and I'm just so much more interested in seeing more of their characters because A, they're fun, and B, they're angels and demons and, whatever you want to call them at this point, since we're a little on the fence. And so, yeah, that's really getting the direction of the show. Because, yeah, nothing against Chloe, but it's a little too much of a castle relationship with her and Lucifer. And, let's see some demons.
Samantha
I agree.
Benitz.
I like how multi-dimensional this episode was, and I liked how you can't really tell who to trust. Now I'm feeling like I'm second-guessing Amenadiel, I'm second-guessing Maze, Chloe and Dan. I'm even having second thoughts on Dan. I'm feeling like he may be the corrupt cop, as a little spoiler alert, maybe so. So it's really interesting to see how the show's developing, and I like that they're also, utilizing their supernatural elements, and I'm excited. After this episode, I think it's going to take a very exciting turn.
Yeah.
You are so wrong.
It's just going to get worse and worse.
It is downhill from this episode, guys.
This was the peak.
Next episode, Tom Ellis dies, goes to hell, and it's
That's that.
And then I play Lucifer, and it's not good. It's not.
Yeah.
As long as John Constantine shows up, I'm okay, right?
So
That would be lovely.
I want to open the conversation right up because this is such a huge shift for the show. You have gone from Lucifer being kind of cop, and then Chloe dealing with her whole scandal, like, oh, where am I going to go? How do I deal with being the outcast? Where Chloe is now probably going to be more widely accepted in the Force now that she's admitted, or not really admitted, she's conceded on the case, and Lucifer has fully gone in. He's now all in. He doesn't have another buyout in his pocket. He doesn't have his wings. He's all in. So what I want to ask is, let's shoot to a question from William Pitcher on Twitter, at WM Pitcher says, to question, is there a plan for the show to get more supernatural? So this is the question that everyone has always been asking from the beginning, and I think this episode signifies perhaps a shift towards that direction, but you don't want to go so far into that, I believe. So when you're tackling a story like this, I would think that you're trying to avoid going too far into supernatural because it can get really crazy really fast and kind of shoot off too quick.
Yeah, it's first of all, shout out to Alex Katz-Nelson who wrote last night's episode and did a fantastic job. The challenge of the show is that balance. We are a show that exists in a fairly grounded world, as much as a fairly grounded world can have a guy walking around saying that he's the devil and actually is the devil within it. But the show will always be an ebb and flow. It will always be the episodes like 5 and 6 that delve into the supernatural. 6 and 7. The ones that go a little bit more into the supernatural, Lucifer's backstory, the mysteries of that, and then we'll have the ones that are a little more grounded and more into the police world. And to me, that's the fun of it. To me, the fun of it is having those episodes where you're going after some sort of MacGuffin, and then you're surprised to find out quite how supernatural it is, or ones where it's really just Lucifer exploring a human emotion in a case or situation that just reflects on himself. And to me, as long as the stories are about our characters, we're still within our world. And what I always loved about the X-Files was when you would go through so many different kinds of episodes where they would be funny or horrific and bizarre, and sometimes you'd have aliens, and sometimes it would just be a much more human story. Our challenge, I think, is doing a little bit of all of them, and having your ones like yesterday's episode, and then having your ones like next week's episode, which is a wonderful, awesome episode that still has elements of the fantastic, but grounds a little bit more than the previous two. But in a way that I think actually everyone's going to really love, because it's also got a lot of Dr. Linda in it. So.
Dr. Linda's
Dr.
great.
Linda, bring her back.
Right?
Miss Martin, she knows what she's doing.
She's not gone for long, so...
So let's go ahead and first break down Dan's relationship with Chloe this episode, because they do kind of take a few steps forward in the fact that she thinks he's going to ditch her, and he's the one that actually comes through when Lucifer decides to bail out and not help her because it doesn't have anything to do with his wings. So with these two characters, where do you see this relationship going? I know you mentioned that Dan could be the cop, hypothetically, who used the 999 key and shot...
Maybe that's why he's helping. Why is he so helpful all of a sudden? He's just been kind of, out doing his own thing, and all of a sudden he's involved with Chloe. Now that Lucifer's around, he sees another threat, somebody who also wants to be this figure around Trixie, and now he's interested in this case, and he keeps telling her, let it go, let him die, let the family be. I'm like, you have a little too much interest in this case. I don't know, I'm feeling a little suspicious, but I could be wrong. I want to be wrong, but I think I'm right.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate to that point.
Go ahead.
Because 3 episodes...
I like the puns.
Many puns will be had today.
Three episodes ago, I would have agreed with you.
Right.
But when we established that Dan is now trying to win back Chloe's favor and become Trixie's father again with Taco Night, he's trying to really establish himself. He's just kind of trying to play both sides of the fence too much right now for us to know him. Right now he's telling Chloe that she needs to drop it, but at the same time he wants to help her because he doesn't want to break off that connection. But at the same time, he's a cop. And if you're going to look objectively, the cop that got shot in that situation is in a coma and his family will lose their pension. So to one side, like, you have to see his point as a cop and as a person seeing a family in need. On the other side, he wants to get back with Chloe, but he firmly doesn't think that this is something to look into. So the real question is, does Dan know that it was corrupt or is hiding it, or does he really not believe that the cops have anything to do with this case?
Well, this is it's funny to be like, well, what do you think?
The answer is it's Trixie.
Yes. I knew it was a Maggie Simpson thing. All along, it's a Who Shot Mr. Bird.
It works so well for them. I figured why not.
Perfect. I was thinking how this whole story is a story of redemption for a lot of people. So it would make sense that Dan gets in on the redemption game by having something to redeem against, which is, he's not such a great father, so he's trying to become a better father. But if that's linked into him being kind of a bad cop or having this bad cop past, that would also be something he's trying to recover from. So it's not that he's gonna
bad now.
Yeah, it's not that we're gonna find out he's evil incarnate or psycho cop. This all along, I think we're gonna find out he made maybe a mistake back in the day, and he's trying to recover from it. So.
Good point.
Yeah, because I'm thinking he's involved somehow, but in more of it, like you said, he's sort of wanting to bring this relationship back with Chloe and Trixie is why he wanted to help. That he may know that there's something up, but wanting her to drop it because it's going to be, dangerous for her. Because I'm thinking that Lachlan Monroe's character, the detective, he's sketchy to begin with. I mean, he hung the lamp a dead man on campus. So yeah, that guy's weird. Yeah.
There's a lot of douche, degrees of douche within the police department.
Yeah.
I also get suspicious. I get suspicious when there's a cop that comes in all douchey. Like, when it's just like, hey, I'm douche cop. I'm not going to turn out to be a good guy later. No. I'm definitely bad.
So everyone in the chat's thinking that Lieutenant Douche has something to do with this.
Right.
No. Do you think that's a red herring? Not Dan. Not Dan. No, not Dan. Lieutenant Douche.
Not Detective Douche.
The man giving the eulogy at the wake.
No.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that's a red herring? I can't ask you, Joe, but do you think that's a red herring?
I have a theory.
I think it is. I think it would be a good red herring if it is one. But because everyone's like suspicious of him, that I feel like that's why I don't believe when someone comes in as a walking douche. I think
the walking douche.
The walking douche.
I think we just found a Lucifer Walking Dead spinoff.
You can take that if you want. You get a
story by.
Okay, cool. This is how I get in the biz.
Right.
Put in. But he walks in and I think he's like too bad. I think we're gonna find out he's not the big bad, or he teamed up with Dan in the past. I feel like it's likely to be Dan, but it could also be the captain, the guy, the woman that runs the whole place too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pitch something to you guys that might be a little bit weird, but just bear with me.
Okay.
At the end of the episode, guys, by the way, if you're watching this after show, I really assume that you've watched the episode. So if we jump around a bit or we mention things from the end of the episode, please don't bite my head off.
Right.
Just go watch the episode and watch all the episodes before it if you haven't.
Yeah.
And don't watch it at the same time as the episode. That's just distracting.
Yeah,
if you're watching this with the episode, it's just weird.
So, obviously at the end we see that Amenadiel breathes life into the officer, which leads me to believe that Chloe ending up in Lucifer's life is all part of Amenadiel's plan, as well as this officer being shot was an unfortunate side effect of one of Amenadiel's plans. I feel like Amenadiel is not beholden to save this man's life in any way, shape, or form unless it was his fault directly that he ended up in that position. So this may be drawing at straws, but it just seemed a little weird that Amenadiel would go on a limb for this person, that his only connection literally is the fact that he met Chloe twice in the episode.
Right.
And
I'm gonna go the opposite of you, actually. I'm gonna say that I think he's bringing the officer back to get in the way of Chloe and Lucifer, because I think he sees Chloe now as the reason why Lucifer is not just going back to work at hell.
Yeah.
Like he's the reason.
He mentioned that. He said, "I can see why you left your duties in hell,"
Right.
when he was eye gazing with Chloe.
So I think if it's anyone's plan, if Chloe's a part of anyone's plan, I think, this is my guess, is we're going to find out, we're going to find out Chloe is a part of God's plan, and that's going to frustrate both Amenadiel and Lucifer, because Lucifer doesn't want to be doing anything in God's plan, because he's a big baby when it comes to daddy issues. And Amenadiel wants to be on the side of the angels, but like I don't think he's really just doing everything selfishly for himself. So I think he's trying to keep what's happening with Lucifer from happening, but he doesn't realize that's also part of God's plan, a predestination that he's not a part of.
So, well, what I found interesting was Chloe's disposition towards Amenadiel.
I liked that. Like, she finally, like, her eyes lit up when he was talking. I was like, oh, she.
By the way,
she
that's
is
just standing next to DB.
Yeah, he's a beautiful man.
I
yeah.
assume so. I feel like I would react the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
eyes
Yeah,
over there.
if you look at the look on my face,
Just so I'm not missing anything, Joe, I'd like to ask, was her reaction to Amenadiel a genuine reaction, or was she only doing that to get under Lucifer's skin?
Good question.
to me, the fun of that question is trying to figure it out. I like it being a genuine reaction, but I think Chloe knows how these things will also react. I think the answer is yes. I think it's a genuine reaction of like, hey, this.
Hello.
he's
Yeah,
hot.
I mean,
Section
yeah.
chocolate
But
over
it's
there.
also like, would I hide that a little better if I knew that it wouldn't drive him a little crazy? Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
And see, that's why, like, I guess I'm a huge softie when it comes to Amenadiel, because I had the same reaction as Chloe, is I thought he was helping, her, because he liked her, with that cop situation. Because if he comes back and tells what happened, then this whole case can be solved. I was thinking he was a good guy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So he could be trying to put the moves on Chloe.
Yeah, either that or just trying to help out, because now he knows. I mean, we saw the end where the wings are burned. He's like, I'm screwed now for what I want. Now I guess I could do good.
Since you mentioned that,
Yeah.
can I just say called it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Called which part?
The destroying of the wings.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It happened in the comics.
Well,
Yes.
I haven't read
have
the
to-
comics.
I have to say one thing though. This is an episode where he finds fake wings, and then he finds the real wings, and then he burns some wings on the beach. And we don't know. We assume those are the real wings. That's all I'm saying, is that you said that he doesn't have anything in his back pocket, but I feel like maybe he does.
Joe, those were the real wings, weren't they?
This is one thing I can comment on. They are the real wings.
Okay.
Because Maze had them.
It's
that
funny
we
because
saw.
we actually had stuff to address that, and then because the thinking is Amenadiel would in theory be able to tell in the same way that when Lucifer got close.
Well,
he could
Lucifer
tell.
didn't tell until he got real close.
Exactly, which is what. Yeah, so we had stuff to address it, and then we just lost. And it's funny because I've seen a number of theories where I'm like, you guys are too clever for your own good sometimes.
Right.
And I was like, it's one of those
Okay.
things where, because in particular, I think that to make sure that the importance of the feather is not understated,
Right.
that the fact that she has that and that is a piece of,
And she can grow
Right.
some new wings.
That's,
who knows?
Or she
Right.
was involved in giving them to the auctioneer. I was thinking, I'm like, is Maze doing some behind the scenes work behind Lucifer's
Right.
back? Why does she have the feather?
Maybe she has a whole pillow full of like angel wings.
I
she's
think
just
that
resting
she's
on.
awfully
She's finally got the last
worried,
one
though.
for her.
You can get some at IKEA.
And you saw how she was looking down at Chloe and Lucifer when they were talking at the end and
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of, rediscussing their day and how he did find his wings and the connection they seem to be having. And Maze is just sitting off in the corner with her, like, evil eye, just letting them know, I don't know. It seemed like a red herring for me.
Did you know that every time an FBI raids an auction,
Yeah.
an angel gets its wings?
Oh, boy. What about you?
We need
I'm
a bell
so
for
sorry.
pun.
I'm so sorry.
You can drop that mic and walk out.
Pun
right now.
bell.
I do want to clarify. We find out that Amenadiel is the one that set up the wings being stolen and set them up at the auction, gave them to the auctioneer.
But is Maze working with the Amenadiel?
Yes.
They were in a
But
previous episode.
I don't think to this degree. I think Maze working with Amenadiel was only to the point of, we need to figure out a way to get Lucifer back to hell, because you want him there, I want him there, you're sexy, I'm sexy, we should work together. But I don't believe that Maze could directly go against Lucifer in this kind of way.
That your sexy, I'm sexy conversation was exactly the dialogue
thought process.
Yeah.
That was the rough draft. You're sexy. I'm sexy.
I was like, I don't think I can beat this. I think I'm just going to shoot it.
That was on the cutting room floor. I couldn't keep it in. We wanted to.
But I think that's one of the mysteries that I like moving forward is, okay, what is Maze's involvement in this? What is her culpability? And especially when we're trying to figure out what exactly Amenadiel has planned.
Well, I think one of the coolest things with the show that leaves everyone guessing, that is probably really fun for you in the writer's room to work with, is the fact that you take a character like Satan, associated with evil, and change into a character that has different morals, that has its own personality, that has different things that it decides upon, and innately that character is not just evil, it can do whatever it wants. So you can't just assume what Lucifer is going to do. You can take anything like that. Like an angel, Amenadiel, he's morally gray in this respect. He's doing things that are outside of what you would assume an angel would do. Just like Maze, she's a demon, she serves Lucifer, but really what does that mean and how far can she push that?
But in keeping in mind, Amenadiel's doing what he thinks is right. Like, I think one of the things we like playing with is, one of the, I think, important things of any storytelling is making sure that the characters are the heroes of their own stories. Yeah. I think for Amenadiel, to a certain extent, it's greater good. That is always the driving purpose. And, well, what is greater good, and what are the sacrifices that can be made in that, especially for an angel who doesn't necessarily see human beings as people, more as, I mean, he's this deity to a certain extent, and so people are a little more chess-like to him than actual beings, and so I think that's a fun thing to play with, and what does being good mean, and who's defining what that means to a certain extent.
By what you just said, I'm expecting that officer who wakes up to drive a stake between Lucifer and Chloe.
Yeah, that's what I expected.
Yeah, like that's a great point, because when you look at what Amenadiel's trying to accomplish, I think he might become literally Chloe's guardian angel. Because if she doesn't need any help with anything anymore, what's there to have Lucifer around for? And if Lucifer's not interested in anything anymore, why is he staying on Earth?
Right, except removing Chloe would be a good way of getting Lucifer maybe back to focusing on being a demon. Because Chloe seems to be the only thing that's really influencing him to become human and more mortal in a way. So like maybe he wouldn't guard her as much as take her out. Could go either way. So
let's actually talk a little bit about the relationship between Amenadiel and Lucifer, because this episode has kind of improved our understanding of it tenfold, and I actually thought it was very believable as brothers.
Yeah,
like surprisingly to a certain degree.
They have a great chemistry, and it's funny because like this is one of the episodes that you build to, and that you get really excited to get to, because for one thing we just knew that Tom and DB had a great chemistry, but we also wanted to earn over a period of animosity and the two of them playing in different angles a sense of who they used to be. Like what I loved doing is being able to see the two of them have that moment where you're like, they're brothers, of course, yeah, and they're having fun and they're enjoying it and they're bickering, and you know you've got both thousands of years of animosity and thousands of years of blood.
Right.
Yeah, and the psychology of their relationship is also just very true to, you know, just any kind of pop psychology, where Amenadiel is for the greater good, the big picture, like an older sibling. And then with Lucifer, he's a little more selfish, a little bit more playful. And so, yeah, I really like that, you know, it's pretty obvious that the writers do their research. Yeah.
I'm for one thing, I'm just a giant nerd of the comics, so, but I mean, obviously the Amenadiel-Lucifer relationship was very different then and is very different from everything else, but yeah, like
they're a bit friendlier on TV than in the comics.
Yes, well, he's also a really old white dude.
Yeah, like really grumpy old guy.
Which is why we cast DB. I'm totally stealing that joke. I think DB has already used that before, and I just tried to pretend it was mine. But
you were trying to avoid the Lucifer so white hashtag.
Right.
Right. Thank you, DB. No, but I think it's great, because when you have history there, no matter how much animosity is between that, there's still going to be things that, you know, if you were associated with somebody for such a long time, even if a brother that you haven't seen in 15 years, when you get back together, there's at least going to be some points that you agree on and that you can laugh about.
Yeah.
And that's what we see when they go to the auction house. They see them kind of laughing to each other and catching them in a moment before they realize, oh wait, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So it kind of gives deeper insight to, it's not like a deep hatred between the two of them. It's more of just a misunderstanding of each other's intentions. Amenadiel's pissed right now. We learned that Lucifer has been on Earth for 5 years. Officially, they say that. And Amenadiel has been carrying the slack, for lack of a better
controlling the
term.
gates of hell, making sure the damn souls don't leave and flee to
Those
Earth.
damn souls.
Yeah.
Damn soul. Yeah, it's that idea of like of I'm doing your job for you. And if you'd only do your job, my life would be easier and I could go back doing what I want to do. But you get to do what you want to do because
Well, I'm over here doing double time.
yeah, because I'm the responsible one.
Right.
Because I'm the one that is always, doing what Dad says, and you're the one who just gets to go play.
It's the older sibling.
Yeah, it's definitely that.
So if Amenadiel can do that from Earth and still be on Earth and taking a corpulent form, would that be possible that Lucifer could also have just been still doing what he's supposed to be doing while he's just having fun in Los Angeles? Or
I mean, in our version, no. Like Lucifer has definitely assumed a more mortality is the wrong word, but I mean he's cut off his wings. He's depowered a bit while he's here, so it's not something that he could do. It's something that Amenadiel is a little more uniquely suited to, in the same way that Amenadiel can slow down time and all that fun stuff.
with his breath.
Yeah, that was a useful trick this episode. I'm like, here we go. Now it's really coming into play. Slow down the time, stop the FBI raid, and get them wings.
I was almost waiting for like the Mentos commercial to come out. Mentos fish.
If we get a season 2, we'll make that happen.
A Mentos a deal.
Wow. Is he always this punny?
He really is. I do know.
We're supposed to have a button to silence those moments, but
Marissa in the booth will mute me if I get too out of hand.
I got a question. Since we brought up all these damn souls, there's several times we've mentioned that the worry that they might slip out of hell and cause some havoc. Is that possibly a seed for what might come later in the series using those souls?
I think that is a lovely question.
Yes, that's enough for me. That's enough for me. That's okay.
I think what I would extend it on is, I mean, that is an element of the promise of the pilot, and the question is how to do that in a way that still adheres to our world, because I mean we're not going to have like a war of souls or anything like that, but I think,
and I assume it's not like the comic where we're going to see the afterlife of like the Chinese deities coming in or any of the expansion on like
season 6 we're going to need ideas.
Okay. Yes.
No, I mean,
Seasons of a movie.
Exactly right. Not for season 1.
Okay.
It's definitely we made a very conscious decision. Focus on the characters we have, the mythology we have. You're not going to see much more supernatural beyond the characters we are playing with.
So no other supernatural characters might come in, not even from maybe other DC comic worlds.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Until I get the proper blackmail to be able to do that. You know what? I haven't even asked, just because I figured it was. For one thing, it's such a it's such a beloved property, and honestly, it's this our show needs to stand on its own legs.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that
so
makes sense.
we just made a very conscious decision of sticking with who we have.
Right.
But whoever's read the comic, Gaudium is my favorite character, and I don't know how you make a 3-foot stone cherub into a character, but I will find a way sometime.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There it is.
You just
that's
cover him in gray paint and you're good to go.
or just make a Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk let's just get through some of the other points of the episode. Of course, the auctioneer is a man. He's got a very nice house. He's a longtime atheist, sees the wings and immediately believes. So the wings do have some power, and from that you can tell that Amenadiel would have known if they were real or not on the beach. That's what I was associating by knowing that. So he says he can't live without the wings, and then Lucifer asks him, finally he tells him that Amenadiel, we assume, because the next scene is him on the beach. Are we going to see that character again? Are we going to see what Lucifer has done to him? Are we going to see all of these characters that have seen Lucifer's true form in an insane asylum like the first producer guy?
We are not going back to Isaiah Whitlock, who was awesome, at least this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was great. I mean, I loved him in The Wire.
By the way, thank you for. I think this is the first time I saw him in something that he didn't go shit. You
have no idea how tempting it is. I understand why everyone does it.
I mean, he's been in other stuff than The Wire that he does that in. It's
really?
become like it's become like his calling.
Oh, we all
card.
wanted him to do it, but that's hilarious. Yes, we were very bold and brave in our decision to hold him back. It's so tempting because it's
keep writing
it's
it, deleting all the eyes.
Right?
No, I can't do it.
Just Lucifer walks in. Shit.
I'm sure Fox would have loved to try to get that through the censors.
It's not a curse word. It's SHEEEEEEI,
and then you just cut off the T.
It's not even this.
And then cut to black.
Yeah.
No, one of the things we want to play with in future seasons is coming back to these characters and exploring that, but really his story is done, at least for now. But I do like the idea of, like the Jimmy Barnes of it all, who was in the pilot in the second episode, and how it affects different people, and also how the wings affect different people. Like I like with with Rennie the biker, how it sort of it drove him crazy in a different way, and the atheist, how it actually gave him faith. Like one of the big things we want to play with in every episode is the idea of faith and what you believe in. And I love the idea of Lucifer walking around and being like an atheist. Really, like I love a character just calling that out and being like, how can you not believe in all of this? And then also, yeah, exactly. He's like, no, never mind.
This is one of the things that I really like about the writing of the show so far, is that you're not killing characters. Not to talk poorly about another Fox show, but Sleepy Hollow, I do the after show for, and I feel like every time we get introduced to an interesting character that we're like really invested in, it's just like, all right, they're dead, never to be seen again. And with all these characters that have seen Lucifer's true face, you never really kill them, except for the guy who jumped off a building. But
he killed himself.
So that wasn't even a writer thing. That was just the actor method acting. He got in the moment. It was really sad. The
Thank
funeral
God
was
it was
next
a green
weekend.
screen. Otherwise, it would be really dangerous.
Yeah. So when you're writing these characters, do you have that moment where you're like, should we make the move to kill this person, or should we keep them for later? And then when you decide to keep them for later, are you like, this season, next season, like how do you kind of put them in the file cabinet?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's usually a lot of it is waiting to see what actor you get and then how they respond. So a lot of it is honestly just the story. Like Lucifer doesn't really go around killing people. In fact, if you noticed, he really hasn't. Like he's actually that's not his place. He's a punisher, but he's not a murderer. And I actually like that distinction, and I like the fact that he's got a very strict code, and he doesn't lie. He doesn't do all these things he's been set up. Now, can he be an evil son of a bitch? You bet. But he's got a nobility to him. But honestly, a lot of it is you get an actor, and then you're like, oh my God, why didn't we put him in a couple more episodes? Maybe season 2 if we're so lucky. Like that's the big game, because you never know how these actors are going to bring these roles to life. Now, in the case of we have Kevin Rankin coming on as Malcolm, you get an actor like that, you're not going to have him on just in a coma.
Right. Yeah, as soon as he came on, it was like, he's not. Right. That guy is so good.
Well, that guy's staying in a coma, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
He is so good.
That really strong character actor, yeah, that's all we're going to see of him.
We were very fortunate to get him, and he is... It's going to be a lot of fun with him.
Have there been any characters so far that when fans saw, their reaction was so strong that you immediately were thinking, okay, we got to bring them back?
Well, my brother wants me to bring Tom Sizemore back desperately, which so do I, because he was awesome. So hopefully we'll visit him in season 2 with his new clothing line.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, we've been very lucky because like Jeremy Davies was with us,
Yes.
Tom Sizemore, and then we've got Rebecca De Mornay coming up.
Oh yeah.
We've got Jim Rash next week.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
I'm super excited about
That's
it.
going to be so much fun.
Right? And Al Madrigal, both in the same episode.
That's gonna be your like X-Files Goofy episode.
Right. It is.
It's gonna be great.
And what's really fun about it too is like we've actually been trying to hire, like, Kevin Rankin can do funny. Like Tom Sizemore is funny. Like his whole speech about like his prostate and everything. Like we've been trying to hire mostly as people that can do humor, because that's what our show lives on. As much as it is to earn the darkness, you have to have the humor to both offset it, but also help surprise you. And you get a bunch of actors that are known for comedic work who like the opportunity to stretch it a little bit.
Pig Diddy was great. Yeah.
Poor Pig Diddy.
I had a big question about Pig Diddy.
Yes.
Why didn't you go with
so curious.
Notorious P.I.G.?
That's a good question.
Was it because the similarities with
Or
the two
Pink
bands? That was my question.
It's funny because I can't. Sherry Elwood, the writer of the episode, named that pig. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And originally it was named after, I think, her dog Ninja. And because we actually had a ninja joke about Maze being a bartender, she had to rename it. And then all of a sudden she came in with Pig Diddy, and I was like, well, yeah.
Okay, it's pretty.
That's got to be it. So.
Okay, all right. I was just like, not Notorious P.I.G. All right.
Awkward.
Oh boy.
I really would have loved to transition from "Oh no, he's dead" to Lucifer eating ribs or something.
we should have had them walk in with a new pig named the Notorious P.I.G.
Yeah,
and then it's
Well,
just
season 2.
yeah, it is.
Season 2.
So now
There
we're
you
going
go.
to bring back Tom Sizemore, the reincarnated pig, and
sneaks out of hell. That'd
There
be
it
the
is,
first
yeah.
soul out
Well-
of hell is that pig. That'd be perfect.
that does seem fitting.
I had a question about casting. Just
Yeah.
like when you found Tom Ellis, was that when you thought of Lucifer? Did you think of Tom Ellis? Or
Well, so this is tricky. You're like, this is clearly just an evil man.
Right.
So I came on after the pilot.
Okay.
So Tom Kapinos wrote the pilot. Len Weissman directed it, and then Tom went on to other projects. And I got a phone call saying, "Hey, do you want to do this show, Lucifer? Do you want to run it?" And I was like many people, was just like, I'm not so sure that that's a good idea. And then I watched it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. So it's been fun to watch everyone watch the pilot and sort of have these similar reactions to what I had, which is, I mean, Sandman's one of my favorite books ever.
Right.
The Mike Carey run was fantastic, and I'm like, I'm not sure if you can do this. And I thought they did such a great job of finding a voice and finding a way to make that work. But all I can say is, I mean, what Tom does with that role and what I'm able to lean on every week with him is the fact that, for one thing, he can sell any joke, but also he adds like a little bit of tragedy to moments that give him that ground a character that is so absurd and so silly. In the same way, I think Hugh Laurie did it with House.
Yes.
Where like he's a complete asshole, but there's pain underneath it.
And you just love him.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not like he's not just being flip and funny. Whether or not he knows it, he's hiding something, or at least he's trying to not deal with something.
It's a saying that silence speaks louder than words. Yeah. And from watching the show, you can definitely see that Tom Ellis is a master of those silences, especially when he's dealing with Chloe, because he only reveals half-truths half the time, so he can't really answer. So it's all in the face, and it's
How
so
he omits.
yeah, it's so comedic. And I want to ask how much of his acting includes improvisation, or is everything completely scripted?
Everything he says, I have written, and don't you know?
You are God!
Credit.
No, actually, Tom is.
He is my puppet.
Dance, Tom, dance. No, listen, he's a really good quipper, and a number of his lines have made it. In fact, next week's episode has an act out, which is a very serious act out. It's very grave, and then Tom has this line that he improv'd that I think I spit. I was laughing so hard, and it was like the scene was not intended to be funny. It was intended to be very dark, and it's in there.
We're gonna know it, right?
Yeah, you'll know it. It's the end of Act 4 or 5.
Okay.
Trust me, when you get there, you'll be like, "That's a really dark." That's really funny. So like he's very good at finding the moments, and he's also really good at finding the humor out of character.
Right.
And by the way, there's a line about the village people that was totally his improv.
Nice.
Just in the ADR booth, he was just playing with it, and he was just like giving us options. It's awesome.
Oh, for Back of the Head, you just like...
Yeah, exactly. We did a crowd shot, and he was like, "Hold on, let me try something else here." And he's like, "You village idiot or village people rejects." And I was like, "Oh, that's not good. I'm gonna pretend that we wrote that."
Perfect. I was just going to say, I think it's super cool that he also has such a religious background with his family, and he's able to use that for his character on the show. And I was also going to ask, do you guys get any inspiration from the Bible or Paradise Lost? Or I saw recently that you tweeted about Dante's Inferno.
Yes.
So do you get any inspiration, or do you want to utilize that for any future episodes?
Yeah, I mean, because I reread, or I don't know if I'd ever read it before. I read Paradise Lost right before we started, and I realized I hadn't read Dante's Inferno. I mean, I'm as familiar with it as anyone is, and as much as the pop culture of it, but I realized I never actually read it. And I did enjoy the amount of strange fart jokes and other body humor that is in it. It's kind of, it's kind of awesome. You're like, oh, okay. Even then, they knew that a fart was funny. I respect that. But seriously, check it out. It literally has a fart joke in it.
Farts in hell, man.
Farts in hell.
Farts in hell.
I mean, what else are they gonna do in hell?
Why not?
Check out our new band next week.
Farts in
Hell. We'll be playing at the Satellite. It'll be great.
But like, for example, I'm a lapsed Catholic. I was in a Catholic touring choir in college.
Wow.
So I know my Bible pretty well. We've got a couple practicing people of faith on the staff.
All Satanists, I'm
Oh
assuming?
yeah.
Okay.
All practicing in the Church of Satan. Hail. And then we got some lapsed. We got some atheists. We've got a mix of everything. And I think one of the important things is not only drawing from Sandman and Lucifer the comics, but drawing from the Bible as well. Because really the question is just what gives you story and what gives you thematic. And what lets you play with that. So.
Right, and even Milton in Paradise Lost makes Satan out as this like empathetic anti-hero. So I felt like that really translates in this show as well, because I can see Lucifer, and he's not all as bad as people perceive him to be. And even with all this 1 Million Moms protest, I see what the show is trying to do, and it didn't just go the darkest way and all the evil tendencies of Lucifer. It kind of showed that human side that you can empathize with.
And I'm pretty sure, from what I've gathered from interviews with Neil Gaiman, the Milton version in particular was a big inspiration.
Yeah.
Right. I felt like that. I don't know. I just thought so. So cool to hear that.
Yeah.
Speaking on Million Moms, was there any, like, when you're pitching the show to Fox after it gets picked up and then they're still in that gray area between all right, we're gonna start filming now, are you sure we can do this? Was there any fight back, or were Fox just all in?
Yeah, I mean, they knew what it was. The real concern was, how do we let people know what the show really is?
Got it.
Like, and part of the challenge was early on, like letting affiliates know we're not the show you might think we are based on the title, and really just getting the pilot out there and episodes out there to show them that we're a fun, dark, weird, creepy, strange, bizarre show. Like, I sort of refer to it as a stew, which is not the most attractive thing to describe it, but it's just like everything I like mashed together in the same way that Buffy was, in the same way that a lot of my favorite shows were. Like Lost, one of the things they did so well is you would be dealing with incredible problems and issues, and then Hurley would walk in and make a joke, and it allowed you to laugh, which made them human, which made you care. And I think that's what's so important to the show, is Lucifer, by being funny, lets us sympathize with the devil. Pun. See?
And speaking of Lost, how are you working into Harold Perrineau being on there, since he was so good on Constantine?
He was so good.
I know, and Lost.
He's so good in general. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Is he not on anything right now?
No, not that I can think of.
So before we move forward, I do want to give an iTunes shout out before we do some Twitter questions, just because I want to get those out of the way so people don't feel left hanging, because we did promote saying we take some questions. Guys, please, what helps us out here, we provide all these shows to you free of charge. The only thing we ask is that you go to iTunes, leave us a rating and a comment. This last week we had EC Fro MDC comment, good after show, 5 stars. This panel is on point with their discussion and theories and are fun to watch. Really appreciate their humor, enthusiasm, and intelligence. Thank you very much. If you guys want to shout out on the show, please leave a comment on iTunes. It really does help us out a lot. And then in the chat, shout out to Peter D. Supernatural Hoovian, Gail Rubel Crodford, Mr. Goku 2012, Joe Brody, and Agent Shinobi 9, Star Drew, all those people out there. Thank you for continuing to watching the show every single week. Now, I do have a Twitter question here that goes back to, I mean, of course, in this episode, we see him playing a piano rendition of Johnny Cash's Hurt, which was really great.
It was originally written by Trent Reznor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But that's the version that we're going with.
Yes.
At Is Already Taken, JH asks, any chance of Tom Ellis's covers being on the DVD extra?
You know, it's funny because I really wanted to get, because I love what we did with Sinnerman.
Sinnerman was so good.
I mean, Tom is a great singer, and we're trying to figure out how that would work because I think we only have the rights for it for the show. So I don't know if we can get it out there because there is a much longer version of it. I'm trying to figure out because I would love to get it out there because, for one thing, I just love that song in general, and especially the one, the Thomas Crown Affair version, which we modeled after quite a bit. But we are trying because it's
you can just pull a Ryan Reynolds and just put it on
right,
YouTube.
Exactly.
It leaked. We don't know who did it.
I'm going to send it to Ryan Reynolds in the hopes that he will leak it.
Well, we're only 70% sure that Ryan Reynolds.
I saw that.
At Mando130 asks, will Lucifer grow to like Trixie?
So that's the tricky thing because what I love, you know, the easiest thing to do to make a character likable is to make them, you know, good with kids. And I love the fact that that Trixie is just this strange creature that he doesn't quite understand. I think it'll be a very slow journey, and I think it'll be very fun to watch him slowly get to understand. Because I think she's so innocent that it's like a foreign object to him. It's like a strange, it's potentially a plague because, oh God, I don't want to get that. I think that's the fun of it. I think the fun question is what happens when Trixie meets Maze.
Oh, hey. Are we going to see that this season?
That is coming up.
She's
Sweet.
so cute. I love
She's
her.
amazing.
She's the sweetest.
She's so good. We are very fortunate because we have a great cast, and we're also very fortunate coming up because a lot of these characters still haven't met each other. And what you'll see in the coming episodes is us combining characters and having the mismatches that we haven't seen yet, which is fun.
Angus Stewart doesn't have a question. They just said, loving the show. Fun, edgy, and angry moments, and his human moments great so far.
Thank you, Angus.
Han Hoff9 says, who picks the music for the show? Do you Google songs with devil lyrics? And he loved the Korean pop inclusions.
That was the Korean pop was really cool. We have a great post team. For what they did, actually, they did collect a whole bunch of songs with the devil in it. And I have like this huge playlist that I listen to while I write. But within that is not only songs that have devil thematics or just ideas similar to that about redemption, about sin and all that, but also they collect things like the K-pop, which was so much fun.
You make a lot of internet references. Like I'm not used to dealing with the feels today, but you have a few meme references throughout the show.
Oh yeah, and one of the things that I loved about the pilot was that Lucifer is oddly up to date on things. You know, like because he embraces desire, which means watching movies, which means probably spending way too much time on the internet. And well, he doesn't have a phone, but I believe someone probably shows him things on the internet.
I knew it. He made Gangnam Style popular.
Yeah, it's his fault.
That could only have been the work of the devil.
It's either his fault or it's his credit.
So I'm gonna ask two big questions. You're probably not gonna be able to answer them.
All right.
Is it Chloe making Lucifer mortal, and is Chloe the only one able to hurt Lucifer?
Those are really good questions. I will say wait and see.
Okay.
Okay.
The other question is, will this season end in a giant cliffhanger that will make us hate you if you don't get a season 2? Because we want a season 2, and they better give you a season 2.
From your lips to Fox's ears. That one I can't answer because I firmly believe in the dual cliffhanger, which is we will wrap up storylines that will give you a satisfying ending and then give you an ending that will hopefully make you really pissed off at me.
So you're not going to Chris Carter it, or are you going to halfway Chris Carter it?
We'll do the half Carter.
Half
Carter.
Half Carter.
Yeah, no, because I do believe in so many shows have done it so well, which is you bring everything together. I mean, Buffy was really good at it. Not to go back to that but you feel satisfied, but then you're like, but
I wanted this.
That's
me.
Yeah, so that's something that we've embraced, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. So
Is Chloe God?
Oh. So wait, are you saying Lucifer wants to have sex with his dad?
Yeah.
I'm like the hot tub movie. It is not God. God did not make poor choices in his
I like
life.
it. Go straight to incest. I know Game of Thrones comes out in 20 days.
Right? It might get us higher ratings. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe
Season 2 available on HBO.
Yeah.
See, I always thought David Bowie was God since Lucifer's drawn after him, but since that's not going to happen now.
That is a hard thing to
Play
argue.
more Bowie, though.
I will
And Stones.
We have some Stones coming up.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Kyle Mays, nice name for the show, says, will we see an act of God during this season?
Ooh. That's a really good question. I think you'll see something that you could interpret that way.
Ooh,
that's what I'll say.
That's a
So
good
a little
answer.
intervention.
That is a good answer.
That's a very good question.
I had a question because you hinted at this earlier. Did you have to clear anything with the Church of Satan?
Oh,
Yes.
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 So we do have an episode coming up that plays with an organization that, for a time, we're like, well, hey, we should maybe reach out to the Church of Satan and see how that goes. And
Normal conversation.
yeah, right. What I do on a Tuesday, and I've got to say, we're oddly pleased that we've both been condemned by very Christian groups, and now we did not get approval from the Church of Satan.
Really?
So they're very nice about it, and but they did not.
They don't like him solving
They,
crimes.
they had that wasn't the problem.
Enough with the solving
They had a lot of
crimes.
notes.
Oh, really?
So, but they were very nice about it. So they were very nice Satanists.
They were
Mostly
your letter, they're
Satanists.
like, maybe for Vince Gilligan, not for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your favorite episode of this season, and have we seen it yet?
Ooh, that's good. Last night's episode is one of my favorites because it's one of those episodes that you earn over time, right? It's like you do the episodes where you put the pieces together, and like when I worked on White Collar, we do the mid-season finale and the mid-season premiere, and that's what 6 and 7 were for me, which is like you pay off something in the middle so that people know that we are not only building this on a lot of shows that I've worked on previously would have been the end of a season. Yeah. And to me, it's like I like getting there in the middle because it's pushing you to just move the story to the next level. So 7 was like just a fulfillment of a lot of things, and just finally getting to see Lucifer and Amenadiel together, and then that ending I love how that turned out. And then I would say the next 2 are 2 of my favorites because 8 is like this. It's a case of the week, but it's really personal, and it's got a lot of Dr. Linda in it, and it's one of our funnier episodes, but not sacrificing consequence and danger. And then the one after it is, I'll just say it's titled A Priest Walks Into a Bar.
Yes.
And I'll let you decide what bar he might have walked into.
He's getting the bar exam. He's going to be a lawyer. Call Saul Goodman today.
You're on to me.
Guys, we are out of time, unfortunately. I'd love to go through predictions and watch your expression tell us whether we're right or wrong, but we'll just have to force you to come back one of these days. Maybe for the finale where we can yell at you for the cliffhanger.
Yes, that would be perfect. That would be awesome.
Joe, where can we find you on Twitter, and where can fans follow all the work that you've been doing?
I'm at Henderson_Joe, and our writers are at Lucifer Writers, and usually we're live tweeting every episode, and usually one of our writers jumps onto that account as well.
Cool, great. Dave?
You can find me at MrDaveChild on Instagram and Twitter.
Samantha Benitz.
Once again, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Samantha_Benitz.
All right.
And again, if you can spell it right, it's LACRETIALYON, and that's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever.
And guys, I'm your host for the evening, Stephen Lemieux. You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux. Also check out our movie network, The Popcorn Talk, where you can find all your movie discussion needs at youtube.com/thepopcorn or at Popcorn Talk Network, and on Twitter at The Popcorn Talk. Thank you so much for watching the after show today. We will be back next week at our normal time, which is 11 p.m. Monday Pacific Standard Time, unless we get a guest that makes us move the time, which we might. I have something lined up potentially that you guys are going to get excited for. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Joe.
Thank you guys. And by the way, I've watched a number of your episodes, and I really dig how you guys dig into the show. It's awesome.
Zero's a number.
Zero's a number. What? No, I watched my episode because I'm vain, and then I watched the last one. So.
Oh,
Nice.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. We will see you next week. Same Lucifer time, same Lucifer place. See you then.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only.
From
Do not
executive
necessarily reflect the
producers
views of
Maria
AfterBuzz TV or
Menounos,
its owners
Kevin
or principals.
Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.